This is hip hop? What do I mean? What do I mean? Let me tell you what I mean, Gene. Over the weekend, I saw a video of these alt-right, none of them white Republicans going to a club in Miami, throwing up Nazi salutes, playing Kanye West. And that made me think of something I've been hearing Thought Crime say for as long as I've been listening to them, that Kanye brought the alt-right into hip hop. And this display of no rhythm, no cool, corniness. And I thought about what they said. And I also thought something else. Because hip hop used to be Black Americans' political music. It used to be the message, it used to reflect the message of the streets. And I've been on a tangent for a few years now, talking about hip hop doesn't speak to the streets anymore. And then I saw this video and thought about what Thought Crime said about Kanye taking the alt-right and bringing hip hop into the alt-right. It got me thinking, hip hop is still speaking to the streets, just not the black streets. Hip hop is speaking to the ghetto alt-right streets. The thugs of the left, the thugs of the right. And hip hop's only political message seems to be going to the right wingers. And there's no longer any message to me and you to reflect what we got, what we going through. So that's what we're going to talk about today. What I need y'all to do is I'm going to play this intro music for about a minute. I need y'all to hit subscribe and share. This isn't a trending topic. So the algorithm don't like when we have these independent thinking topics that don't follow the algorithm. So what I need y'all to do is to defeat the algorithm by hitting the like button. If you're watching later on, what I need you to do is make a comment after the video and defeat the algorithm in its BS, all right? We'll be back in about 1 minute. Let's go. This is hip hop. Before we get into today's topic, I want to say first, welcome chat room. Thank y'all all for joining. Thank y'all all for joining. But before we get into it, I want to say rest in peace. Let me pull this down. Rest in peace to Miss Gladys West, the mother of GPS. She passed away. We found out today, but she passed away a couple days ago. We just now finding out. She was featured on the movie Hidden Figures. It was her math that got GPS launched in the air. It was what she did, learning how to calculate the Earth's circumference and to get from up in space to get the satellites to work in the GPS functions to communicate from satellites back down to Earth. That was all through her and her math. You know? So back then we didn't have these supercomputers. You only had the computer of the brain. And it was Gladys West, Katherine Johnson, and Dorothy Vaughan that created the calculations to get that GPSs on our phones that we use every day to accurately compute the position that you're in. And GPS is very, that means that plays a big part of my life. Because my mom, the job that she had, she used to always coordinate with the Air Force and the satellite launches that was going on. And as a kid, I would go up with my mom to Vandenberg Air Force Base and watch these satellites go and get launched from Vandenberg. And they'd always be like, this is GPS. Like my tutors were these engineers were my math tutors when I was in middle school. My mom would have her engineer buddies tutor me, our co-workers. And I remember in 1991, 1990, 1989, they'll be like, yeah, we launching this satellite. I'll sit at their computer and watch them, design these rockets that was going to launch this new GPS. And where my mom worked, they were always launching GPS. And I didn't know what GPS was until way later when you got those GPS systems that came out, Garmin, in the late 90s into the 2000s. And I was like, yo, that's what my mom was working on 10 years ago. And only to find out that later on they were black women that came up with the mathematics. They talk all day about the German engineers that came here doing Operation Paperclip after World War II, but they don't talk about the black Americans that made this stuff possible. Remember, Einstein never solved his theory of relativity. He never solved that. He came up with a calculation for it, but he didn't solve it. People like Benjamin Banneker, people like George Washington Carver, Lewis Latimer, Granville T. Woods. Black Americans are the brains of this country. That's why I always talk about, if we gonna talk what the Black American contribution is to the United States, we have to talk wholeheartedly, holistically. We gotta stop just saying we were the slaves. We was the slaves. Yeah, we were the slaves, and we were the brains too. What is the United States of America without Benjamin Banneker solving the quarter day on the calendar and fixing the clock and perfecting the clock to where America could have agriculture? Because America almost went hungry in the late 1700s because the calendar was wrong. Benjamin Banneker fixed the calendar, fixed the clock, and created the Farmer's Almanac so these white folks would know when to plant their food and crops. He designed the city of Philadelphia and Washington, D.C. in And he designed Washington, D.C. in alignment with the constellation Virgo. Virgo for Virginia. Number 1, the Virgin. You had Lewis Latimer, who was the brains behind Edison. The filament for the light bulb was basically is the thing that makes the light bulb stay on. Granville T. Woods, the telegraph, the fax machine, the stop for trains, and the creator of the roller coaster. You dig? George Washington Carver, bioengineering, sustainability living, invented plastics, rubber, when America needed it most during World War II. And then women like Katherine Johnson, Dorothy Vaughan, and Gladys West. She created the mathematical models of Earth as a geoid, not a perfect sphere. See, these white folks thought the Earth was a perfect sphere before her. She said, no, it's not a perfect sphere. It's more of a pear shape. And she proved it through mathematics. Satellite data calculations that corrected Earth's curvature, gravity, and timing errors. She also created the mathematical predictions for long-term orbital predictions needed for satellite positioning long-term, meaning for decades on out. That all came out of her mind. So when we talk about Black greatness, we don't just talk about slavery. It isn't just music. It ain't just dancing. Because from Thomas Jennings to Garrett Morris to Gladys West, it's the brain power that made America great to begin with. All right? So rest in peace, Gladys West. All right? Now that we're done talking about the great Gladys West, let's get into talking about these hoe-ass niggas. So make sure y'all y'all go ahead and spread this and share this. Nada, I appreciate the super chat. Much appreciation on the super chat. So here we are. This is the video I'm gonna play, and from here we gonna talk about it. Let's play the video. Let's see here. Not that. Hold on, I moved this in the wrong place. Let me move this back down. Let me move this back down. There we go. So this is it right here. Look at this cornball fest. This shit looks stupid as hell. They don't look like they having no fun. Does this look fun to you? They playing the Kanye song, the song that was deemed anti-Semitic. Does that look fun to you? They played the Hail Hitler song. Look at this shit. This looks hella sassy. Mind you, just last week, Nick Fuentes said on his show that Epstein was only dealing with 12-year-olds. That's not bad. These are his words. Not verbatim, but this is the essence of what he was saying. He said, "At basically, pedophilia is if you're dealing with a 5-year-old. It's okay if you're dealing with a 12-year-old. That's what Nick Fuentes said on his show last week. Now he's around these other losers. Look how he's holding that joint. That shit I wouldn't even want to smoke that. So you have them, the alt-right in the club, playing Heil Hitler. And look at this cheese fest right here. This is them again. So let me mute the music. Cause I don't want to get, look at this. I got them. They're playing Heil Hitler. Look at this cheese fest. They all know what another man's booty smells like. Look at this. This is what hip hop is influencing. This is the political influence of hip hop these days. This is hip hop's 2026, 2025 political influence right here. And I don't want to hear none of you hip hop niggas getting mad at me because the question is this. This is the reason why I say that. And put on my music bed. This is the reason why I say that, people. I say that because where is the hip hop for a mainstream hip hop artist, hip hop on a high level? Where is it right now? Speaking on what's going on in today's world. That's a serious question. Where is that? That's a serious question. Where is the counter to that in hip hop right now? Don't tell me about some song made in 1994. Where is the counter to that right now? And when I say counter to that, I'm talking about where is the hip hop that's speaking a message to the people, to us. Not the Democrats, but to us. I'm serious. Can somebody give me an answer? Where is hip hop these days? Where is it speaking to the day-to-day person? To what we going through on a grassroots level? Is there a hip hop song I'm not talking about the. I know that there's brothers like Sincere Love the God. I know that there are independent people out there. Lord Jamar, he's probably as close as we can get on a mainstream level that said anything to reflect about what we going through on the streets. Where is the hip hop reflecting black political independence? Where is it? Of course, you get some of the My Son style hip hop where they telling you to be a Democrat. You get some of that. But where is it that's not Democrat leaning? You get, like, look at Jay-Z. When his last album, he's talking about his mama coming out as being a lesbian. You listening to Doechii and some of her sexually Democrat leaning ideologies in her music, talking about straight black men. You get that, and I'm not, and I don't have no issues with Doechii, but I'm never going to not hear what I heard when I hear this Democrat ideology. Like, where are the non-Democrat, non-Republican, independent thought hip hop artists? And the reason why I have to ask this is because not only are we not getting anything in return from hip hop, where are the hip hop podcasters? I mean, like, it seems like all these hip hop niggas is being on podcasts. Where is the message from hip hop in the podcasting space? A lot of hip hop done went to the podcasting space. Remember, hip hop started out as message music. It was music of the streets. Where is the reflection of the streets in the hip hop podcast? I'm gonna open up the phone lines in a little bit because I want to talk to some of y'all. Press number 1 if y'all want to get into it. If y'all want to call in, because I might open up the phone lines a little bit early tonight. We're the non-Democrat, because this is obviously it touched the alt-right streets. These are the ghetto streets of the alt-right. You got a Mexican midget in Nick Fuentes. You got half black, fake aristocrat brothers and Andrew Tate. One has got his ass whooped by a dude with pink gloves. And you have the Sudanese ferret, Myron Gaines. Just a hodgepodge of nothingness. Look at this. Look at this motley crew right here. You got Andrew Tate all the way on the left looking tough, but you just got your ass whooped by a dude that threw that threw uppercuts with a broke wrist. You got beat up by somebody who fought like this and was on your knees all up in that man's crotch just a month ago. Y'all, let's not forget. Let's not forget. Let me see here. You got your ass whooped by somebody named Chase Demure. Where that? Here's a picture right here. This is Andrew Tate just last month. Somebody with pink gloves on. Let me see if I can put up video for that fight. Here it is. I gotta fix that. Look at this, y'all. Oh, I gotta turn the music off. This is look. This is Andrew Tate. This is him last month. Look at his eye leaking. I'm an alpha male. I'm an alpha male. You lucky this fight was sanctioned and on TV. Because if this fight happened on the streets, that dude probably would have pulled your drawers down and got all up in your ass. You'd have got your ass whooped and molested had this shit not been on camera. And this is who the alt-right follows. This is who they follow. And then you got Nick Fuentes, who was just in hot water last week for talking about having sex with a 12-year-old girl is okay. But this is a 27-year-old man who's never had sex with a woman in his life, according to his own words when Piers Morgan asked him directly on his show. He said, have you ever been with a woman? No. And the reason is because no, the reason is because you like ass crack. That's why. You like boys. You probably like, that's probably why you next to Myron, because Myron also had suspected pictures of him with him when he in his frat party days, laying up with other men. And that's why you standing next to him. You look like Myron's bottom. But this is the ghetto alt-right. But one thing about this ghetto alt-right, they're very political and politically active. They're extremely politically active. And hip-hop used to be a political genre of music. Not all of it was political, but it always had a political vein. You had House Party, the fun music, and you had Public Enemy. You dig? You had gangster rap, and you had message music with Ice Cube. He gave you that message music. You know, there was always a message to the streets, something that interpreted the temperament of the streets. Now it seems like the only hip hop that's interpreting a message from the people is touching the people on the alt-right. And again, thank you, Thought Crimes, for dropping that knowledge years and years and years and years ago about Kanye bringing the alt-right into hip hop. Now, the only political wing of hip hop is an alt-right wing. That's crazy work. That's crazy work. The rest of hip hop is acting like what we going through on the streets. The delineation movement, the reparations movement, the black independence movement that's happening right now. There's no music talking about none of this. You had that Sexy Solange song that tried to, but when we saw those ratchet images that she was putting out, that made people go a little bit cautious. And then you found that she was trying to riff off the movement more than anything else. I'm gonna go ahead and take phone calls a little bit early today. What's up, Carter? What's your name? Where you calling from? You had that Sexy Solon song that tried to. I guess they called in and didn't know they was calling in. Salute to whoever butt dialed the show. Phone line is open. 323-705-5150. Appreciate the super chat. Says we rock you a long way. Live long, stay thorough. God bless you, brother. Hip hop isn't dead, but definitely suffering from loose beta male runny booty syndrome. That was funny. And Samurai Cam says, peace and love to the chat. Appreciate that, Samurai Cam. But I'm saying this because I was going to talk about this anyway. The current state of hip hop. What is the current state of hip hop, y'all? Where would you say the current state of hip hop is right now? And what is hip hop's impact right now? Because last week, Big Gip did a video. He did an interview talking about how, we don't have the culture no more. The culture is going mainstream. And there's a lot of truth to that, man, because we allowed it. We allowed it. I would say on a scale of 1 to 10, hip hop right now, I get a 1.9, maybe 2, 2.1. What's up, caller? What's the name? Where you calling from?
What's going on? This is Barry Biz calling from Queens, New York City.
Queens, New York City. What's on your mind, brother?
Nothing much, man. I just wanted to say rap officially died when that song Laffy Taffy came out. To me, I was like, yo, this shit is dead. When a song like that became hot, I was like, it's over. That was, to me, the first domino that fell. When Laffy Taffy, to me, that would always be the first domino that fell. When that song came out and I saw the little kids jump into it, I said hip hop is no longer viable. That's my 2 cents.
I'm not gonna fight you on that.
Laffy Taffy, imagine that, a damn song, and then they had some song with the chicken noodle soup with the soda on the side, like
yeah. For me,
not like that happened. Yeah.
For me, hip hop. I already started to see hip hop. It wasn't dead yet, but hip hop got critically wounded with Ja Rule and P.D. Pablo and Nelly. That era is when hip hop, like somebody got a shank and stabbed it like in the side and the liver. It wasn't dead yet, but hip hop got a shank to the liver when Nelly and Ja Rule got to the top. Yeah. But I'm not gonna fight you on Laffy Taffy because I'll never forget. I was in Atlanta when Laffy Taffy dropped. I remember being in the club. I had never heard this song before, and I remember being in the club, and I remember
yeah, I heard that, man. I was like, yo, this shit's dead.
And I was like, and I saw the way people, it wasn't just how bad the song was, it was the way people were vibing. People was vibing to it as if it was a real song. And I was just like, yo. And I was in some wooden club in Atlanta. It was 3 stories. People, if you've been in Atlanta, you remember around the time Laffy Taffy came out, tell me the name of the club. It was like wood. And the whole floor was bouncing.
That song was bouncing in NYC. That song was bouncing in New York. And I was like, what's going on?
When I got back to LA, it was everywhere. But yeah.
To me, that was it. I was like, I remember telling my wife at the time, I was like, yo, this hip hop shit is dead. And ever since then, like you said, it's just been trash after trash, man. And I think that the last song of hip hop was Public Enemy, Fight the Power. Once that song came out, after that, everything just died out from there. That was the last. I guess that's when the industry said enough is enough. This is it.
Yeah, like to me, the last song of True Revolution, if you ask me, well, outside of some stuff Tupac said, was Ice Cube when he did Cave Bitch. That was 94.
Yes, yes, yes,
Cave
yes,
Bitch.
yes,
After Cave
yes.
Bitch, there was not a song that went that hard. Not even including Tupac. No song went that hard after that. Everything got watered down after Ice Cube did Cave Bitch. But
Yeah, hip hop is unrecognizable right now, man. For people who really love hip hop, who grew up with this, who saw the birth of it, it's unrecognizable, man. Straight up, it's just like, yo, this is. It's
he
sad,
said
but at the same,
unrecognizable.
yeah, it is. It really is. I don't even know what this shit is. And right now, the good thing is, Dawn, we're gonna see a resurgence of like jazz,
Oh yeah.
live, and it's gonna come back because the music is lit. It can't go no lower than what it is.
Well, I kind of
It can't
thought
go no lower.
I halfway agree, but I kind of thought that when I heard when I heard Lil Wayne for the go, I thought that then, and they found a way to get worse. So, but I hope you're right, brother.
Yeah, I hope so too, bro, man. Keep up the good work.
All right, man. Have a good one.
All right, later.
Yeah, nah. You see, Laffy Taffy was on fire. I'll never forget. I was in a club. It was off Peachtree. Every fucking street in Atlanta is Peachtree. And we came in, and it was like 3 stories. It was like 3 decks. It was a wood building. It was a wood, like it was all wood. Anybody in Atlanta that was around during Laffy Taffy time, if you know that club, let me know. And I remember being in there, and it was a moment. Like, it was all vibing and everything. Then it was like, and I'm loaded, and out of nowhere, I feel the floor shaking. And then I looked over, I saw these 3 chicks. Because overall, the women was nice in that club. But they did let in a couple of water buffalo to the club that night. And as soon as I go, I saw the 3 bison chicks standing over there doing the Laffy Taffy. But I remember the whole club getting in a trance. Mind you, 2005, I was in Atlanta because I had just graduated college. I was only 24, so I wasn't an old nigga. I had just graduated college, and I went to Atlanta like the week after my last class, just because I wanted to be I just wanted to feel the vibe of Atlanta. Now it was more women than that, but I'm saying it was these three women in particular, these 3 bison in particular. They was like extra. They was bigger than me. All right. So if anybody can talk about fat people, it's me. All right, I'm qualified. You skinny niggas, it'll be offensive, but it's not offensive coming from me. So I saw the way the club was in a trance, and I was like, this song is ass pitiful. Uh, 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 uh. I was like, God damn. I thought it couldn't get no worse than Nelly. Because I told y'all hip hop got a critical shank in the side when I heard it's murder. What up, I mean, what up, my baby? I'm like, oh shit. Hip hop is. Woo! This is a far cry from Arrested Development. Shit. Then I heard, andale, mama, uh-oh. What's happening now? I was like, that's very nursery rhymish of you. Okay. Andale, mama. And I'm only like 18. I'm like just out of high school. This is my generation. I'm thinking this shit at 20. Andale, mama, uh-oh. I was like, it's kind of catchy, but this shit's stupid. And that's how I thought at 19. That's why I don't give some of y'all the young excuse. I'm thinking this shit in real time. Yeah, Chingy, I love it when you do it right there. Nelly, I need two per. Give me two per. I'm literally 20 years old, 19 years old thinking, why is this nigga just advertising for Nike Air Force for free? I remember what Cube said. I think it was in on Death Certificate or the Predator. He said, I stopped giving juice to the Raiders because Al Davis never paid us. I'll never forget when Cube said that on the solo album. And he said this in 91. Stop giving juice to the Raiders because Al Davis, who was the owner of the Raiders at the time, never paid us. Cube put the message out there, only for Nelly to come back with, I need two per. That shit was trash. And that's when hip hop got that shank to the ribs. Somebody made a shank. And that's when somebody shanked hip hop all the way up in the liver and in the stomach. Hip hop was still alive, but it was starting to bleed out in the early 2000s. Late 90s, early 2000s. That's when hip hop started bleeding. And then when, I'll never forget, my club years was between 2001 and 2013, 14. Between 2001 and 2013, 14, I was in the nightclubs, especially '05. Really '05. But really '05 to 14, I would be in the club four to six nights a week. I'd be in the club 4 to 6 nights a week. And I would sometimes go to 2 or 3 clubs a night because I would just go, I knew everybody. So I would go just walk past the line and get in. All throughout Hollywood. Element, Ledoux, Greystone, Basque, those years. Mood, for those who remember Hollywood, those years. Garden of Eden, My House, all those years in Hollywood. And I stopped, my last year clubbing was when Playhouse opened up. When those New York style big clubs came, Playhouse, that's when I started pulling back from clubbing. So I was there every night, and I saw what went on. And I remember seeing when one night I'm in a club and everybody goes into a trance when, like a cop, weed, 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 weed. I was like, this song is creative, but it's kind of catchy and creative, but this is who y'all saying run hip hop? Mind you, I'm 25, 26. I'm not an old nigga at that time. Wayne is my generation. But I'm listening to it in real time. Like, I get it. Like, I understand why you like it, but I don't understand why you're crowning this to be the king of hip hop right now. That's the part I don't get. I don't get the song's catchy. It's a cool song. I get why people like it. What I don't get is y'all giving this shit the crown. That's what I don't get. Somebody said was no money in hip hop until No Limit and Cash Money. What the hell you talking about? I appreciate the super chat, brother, but Too Short was going platinum and making millions without leaving California in 1986, 1987, my dog. Remember, No Limit learned from the Bay. MC Hammer is who brought in the money to hip hop. What none of them No Limit nor Cash Money niggas fucking with MC Hammer. MC Hammer just had the problem of giving a whole bunch of high salary job to his people. So he lost his money giving back to his people. But no. MC Hammer brought in the money. Let's correct that. The money came into hip hop from the West. I appreciate the super chat, brother. Southern Soul and Trailrise, they're taking over Southern Soul. On the West Coast, we have more jazz and like traditional R&Bs over here. Each regions are starting to, countries taking over a certain part of Texas, especially Texas. So yeah, regionally, what's happening is regions are starting to come back. Yeah, I'm not gonna be a hater and let them forget about the Bay. You know what I mean? No. The Bay always gets overlooked in this whole thing in hip hop, and the Bay is so important in hip hop. The Bay showed where the money is in hip hop. The Bay showed you how to get independent money, and it still is. Look at La Russell. The Bay is still teaching you how to get independent money. Still, from Too Short to La Russell, the Bay is showing you how to get to the money. Yeah. No. But that's because remember, hip hop still had a code of ethics back then, and it was very strong. Another reason why hip hop didn't sustain, Hammer didn't sustain, because a lot of hip hop turned on Hammer for bringing in the money. Let's not forget that. When MC Hammer started performing in KFC commercials, you had Paul Mooney, you had Def Comedy Jam Comics talking about MC Hammer, In Living Color was clowning MC Hammer. Black America low key turned on MC Hammer, if we're gonna tell the whole truth, when he started dancing for KFC. Let's tell the whole truth. MC Hammer had a cartoon. MC Hammer had all the sponsorships. And hip hop low key turned on him for it. And MC Hammer took a lot of bullets for bringing that mainstream bag into hip hop. MC Hammer was a sacrifice of hip hop. He was a sacrificial lamb that was never given credit for what he did. Yeah, they saw Hammer as selling out. Yep. When we look back, them niggas just was haters. They wanted the bag. That's real talk. He may said E40 or RBL, Big Figure, Mac Dre, MC Hammer, Too Short, Sebo. Yeah, Northern Cali don't get his due. Go back before that. Tower of Power, Tony, Santana, Sly and the Family Stone. The Bay is more responsible for funk than the Midwest. Yeah. Sly and the Family Stone, after James Brown came out and started funk in 1965, the first song, Papa Don't Take No Mess. I said, ain't too hip, Papa's got a brand new bag. 1965. The next people to do funk was Sly and the Family Stone in 1967. You didn't see the funk really germinating and growing in the Midwest until 1973. The forefathers of funk for the Midwest was the Ohio Players. And in 1967, they were a band, But the Ohio Players were still a jazz band in 1967, 69. Funkadelic was a band, but they in 67, Parliament Funkadelic was a doo-wop group. And then they went to a rock group by 1970. The Midwest's first big funk hit was The Funky Worm by the Ohio Players in 1973. But by 1973, the Bay had already given you Sly and the Family Stone. LA gave you Watts 103rd Street Band and War, Funk out of LA. Funk in LA, and the first disco song comes out of LA in 1973 with Barry White's Love Thing. But we on the West Coast, we just be chilling. We had the Watts Prophets. We had the Watts Prophets in 1970, but we just be chilling. We just be chilling on the West Coast. And then when we do something great on the West Coast, it's always gonna be one nigga that be like, well, they came from the South. And I'd be like, well, why the fuck didn't they do it in the South then, nigga? What's up, DeAndre Mosley? Said hip hop is on the ground bleeding out. Is on the ground bleeding out. Labels are bottling it up for the K-pop and Caribbean buzzards circling above. That's real talk. That's a good question. Why are we giving the people any attention? Yeah, why am I giving this question any attention? Next question. Mario Van Peebles talked about finding and serving Sly before they broke as an artist. They the Mario Van Peebles, I'm sorry, Melvin. Melvin Van Peebles is also responsible for Earth and Fire. And giving Earth and Fire was the first black band to record a movie soundtrack with Sweetback. And that really put Earth and Fire on. But that's when Earth and Fire was managed by Jim Brown. You dig what I'm saying? The South gave you a form of the blues, the Delta blues. The blues that went around the world is the Chicago blues. Remember that. Chicago is every bit as important to the blues as the South is. So is St. Louis, the Midwest. St. Louis, Memphis, Chicago. Those are the three most important cities when it comes to the blues. St. Louis is Memphis, St. Louis, and Chicago. But Chicago is probably the most important because Chicago documented, and Memphis is probably the most important because Memphis was a trial. That was people's first stop on their way out. But when you got to Chicago is what sent the blues around the world. My whole point, yeah, Jim Brown, the football player, he managed Earth and Fire. He discovered them. My whole point of talking about these other regions is all you niggas need to get off your region. If you're in New York, you ain't that important. All right? If you in the Midwest, you ain't that important. If you're in the South, you ain't that important. But together, you're very important. It's the relationship of Black American music. It's the fusion of the gathering of the multiple regions of Black Americans that produces the greatness, not one region in particular. Okay? It's all pieces to the component. It's a circle of greatness. And every piece of the circle is as important as the other piece. When you try to break off a piece of a circle, you lose the integrity of the whole thing. So if you run around talking about the South, the South, the South, well, if you was all that, it would have all gotten done there and we would have heard it from there. That's not what happened. Kansas City is one of the most important cities in Black American music history. Because out of Kansas City, we get swing and bebop, two of the most important sounds. Yes, New Orleans technically created a form of jazz, but what was created in Kansas City and what was created is a completely different thing, completely different than what was going on in New Orleans. And out of Kansas City, the radios in Kansas City got swing and bebop played around the country. And then from Kansas City, it gets to New York, and New York puts it in front of the world. Kansas City puts swing and bebop in front of the country. New York puts swing and bebop in front of the world. That's it. We all in this together. Appreciate that, Javi. These people don't understand this shit. Now, LA is not much of a blues town. Chicago. And Chicago is the home of the gospel. Gospel music was created in Chicago. People oftentimes misattribute gospel to the South when the biggest moves in gospel music both come from the North. Philadelphia came up with the first spiritual hymn in 1801, and Chicago, through Thomas Dorsey, came up with gospel music in the 1920s. Philadelphia held Black American music down through the early parts of this country. The first Black American music recorded, pen to paper, not recorded, but that was a written, comes out of Philadelphia, Frank Johnson. Any American of any color, the first American composition comes from Philadelphia. Philadelphia is very, very much so responsible for compositions. The Gospel Hymn Book, Philadelphia. First compositions, Philadelphia. No part of Black America can claim anything on its own. See, what happens is white historians, they minimize blackness, and black people follow in line and follow along. We tend not to have the nuts to stand over here. We tend to say, oh, well, I'm going to go ahead and trace what Mathis said. Do it from that point of view. Now you got to pull your head out of Mathis' ass. I'm not talking to y'all, but I realize this in my research. You got to pull your head out of everything you've learned. And as you get new information, pull apart the puzzle in your mind that's been put together and reshuffle this thing and allow the evidence and the information to flow. Let the evidence speak. I would have told you it all comes from the South too 10 years ago because I was repeating what I learned in college when I took music history courses. I was repeating John Henry Clark. I was repeating Silent Letter TV and any nigga I heard on that channel. I'm repeating James Smalls and not realizing that these ain't no musicologists, no disrespect to none of them. Again, complete respect to all of them. I love Dr. Clark. And you'll never see me hear a bad thing about him. But I realize none of these people are musicologists. Let me pull back and look at this thing. Because every time I go and pick up a book, every time I go to a museum, I see something and I hear something different. And this isn't, and if you one of these emotional niggas that got an emotional connection to what you think, then either sit back and learn or cry about it. You ain't gonna change my point of view because only information can change how I see things, not how somebody feels. 1 second, I'll get right to you. What you find is everybody created a major piece and component. And it's when everybody in Black America combines what we have, because one part that's not talked about in Black American music is while in the South, while y'all was, no disrespect, while y'all was picking cotton, there was a whole free thing of black music going on in Cincinnati. And we're talking about 1820, 1810, Cincinnati. Carter, can you turn me off in the background, please? Um,
Hello.
so 1 second, I'll get right to you. So you gotta realize in the South, our niggas was picking cotton. Chicago, Detroit, Cincinnati, Cleveland, Philadelphia. There was a free black music circuit going.
Today's date, January 19th, 2026.
Hey, Carter, can you mute your phone?
3 p.m. Eastern Standard.
Oh, I gotta hang up. I gotta hang up. I gotta hang up. I gotta hang up. Gotta hang up. Call back but mute your phone, please. But there was a whole circuit of music going on. Parlor music, chamber music, all music that feeds into what we hear today. But what is a white historian gonna tell you? Are they gonna tell you about Elizabeth Taylor Greenwood, who, yes, she's from Natchez, Mississippi, but she lived her life in Philadelphia? They're gonna tell you about Frank Johnson, who was born in Philadelphia. They're gonna tell you about any of the stuff that was going on north. See, if they expanded the conversation and what was going on north, then this lie that they've been feeding us about we was only enslaved, all that shit would get pulled apart. You'll see that we was in lockstep with us building this country, both enslaved and not enslaved. And the music component, the 1 second, I'll get right to you, caller. There was a fifer during the Civil War. The number one fifer was black, out of Boston. He played on that, that sound. His name was Barzilli Lou. I said Law. Lou. I'm gonna get right to you, caller. Barzilli Lou. He was a black American out of Boston. And in the from 17 in the 1780s, he was a black patriot. And he was the soundtrack to the American Revolution. See, when I say this stuff, it's not to hurt feelings. It's to give acknowledgement to people who don't get acknowledgement. And if that hurts your feelings, then you the problem. I'm not making this shit up, people. All right, caller, what's the name? Where you calling from?
Hey, this is Mike Davis. What's going on, Mike? Juan B. What's going on, brother?
Mike Davis, what's on your mind, brother?
Man, just watching it live, dude. I'm actually, my people is DJ Quick, AMG, Sugar Free, all those guys. Give me a ring back at this number when you get off live. Let's chop it up.
All right, email me, info@thewanb.com.
What's your? Yeah, I hit you on the email the other day. You never responded.
You must have gone to my spam. Hit me. I respond to all emails. Yeah, it must have gone to my spam.
Yeah.
Hit me again, because I'll go and look. I'll look right when we're done, because it must have gone to my spam.
Okay, cool.
All right, for sure.
All right.
Yes, sir. Thanks again. But yeah, like, I'm not making this stuff up, people. What's up, caller? What's the name? Where you calling from? I guess they're not there. What's up, caller? What's the name? Where you calling from?
What up, DeJuan, man? This is Trey from Louisville, man. Louisville, Kentucky.
Trey from Louisville, Kentucky. What's the name, brother?
Man, chilling. So I'm about 10 years younger than you, and like I'm hearing you break down when you felt that hip hop really dropped the ball. And it's funny because just with the age gap between you and I kind of grew up, my mama listening to that Ja Rule, Nelly shit, and I was never really, I saw her listening to it, but just looking back at it now, she was in her early 20s, a single woman. So maybe, that was more geared towards her. But I'm just looking back at it, and it's like, it seems like hip hop progressively got worse. Like it was a higher standard when you were younger. When you were a kid, you said back when Arrested Development and
Yeah.
Ice Cube dropped up, yeah. So you said, you know, that's when you saw hip hop really stop being conscious and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
Now me, being born in '90, I heard Tupac at age 6, 7, 8, even after he died. You know, people just keep playing and stuff. And to me, that that was revolutionary to me. You know, so but you know, it was watered down compared to what you were used to.
Yeah.
And that's fascinating to me. You know, because I look at it as 2005, 2006. I started freshman year in high school. And you're right. That damn Laffy Taffy nigga at the pep rally, nigga, we had the biggest freshman class in my school in 30 years. Nigga, at the pep rally, the whole motherfucking whole gym going nuts with it, just rocking with it. And Lean With It, Rock With It came right after that. So that was just a whole craze.
Yep.
And see, and I'm just like you, see, I didn't do that shit. I wasn't no dancing nigga.
Yeah.
So it's like I'm observing. I'm like, where's this gonna lead to? And 2006, I'll never forget. It was summer. I was living in Atlanta. My mom bounced back and forth. She got married, moved to Atlanta, and I was sitting there listening to Rap City Top 10. And I remember the #1 song was Lupe Fiasco's "Kick Push."
Yeah.
And to me, at that moment, 2006, in live time, that's when I was satisfied with the state of hip hop for my generation.
Yeah.
When I'm just sitting there listening to that, I'm like, damn, this nigga is flowing. I don't even like skateboarding, but this nigga, he's spitting, he's telling a story, man. And in my heart, I said, damn, I love hip hop. And
you know what's crazy about that? And that's
what's that?
Lupe and before the generation just before Lupe, Common. This was all happening at the same time the Laffy Taffy and shit was dropping. What I was observing, it was like, yo, we got this dope ass Common over here, but hip hop ain't ready. Because I'm not a regional person. If it's good, it's good. I don't give a fuck where it come from. You know, I'm not really tuned. I got more tuned into where a song come from when I got online talking music, because so many people out there, they're in tune to that. And I would just make a comment, and people like, oh, you just saying that because they from this city. I'd be like, nigga, I didn't know they were from there. You know? But Common made good music. And I'm hearing Common, like Water for Chocolate, that's out. B is out. But the people are paying attention to this other shit. And it was like, damn, the people got a choice. And yes, they like Kick Push. Yes, they like the first 4 albums Kanye, when Kanye was on. You know, we was glad that Kanye beat out 50 Cent in Graduation. Right. That was a celebration for people who really love hip hop. Like, you know what I mean? Right. But you saw as time went through the 2000s, you know, now you got Lil Wayne, then you get Drake. And when Drake hit, I thought people was going to see through that right away. I said, oh, he sound like Fonte. But people ignored Little Brother and pushed up Drake. That's when I was like, yeah, I'm out.
Two things on that. That Common album that came out in 2005, my freshman year, I remember MTV2 kept playing that shit. That's the album with Go, Go, Go.
Yeah, I think that's Fighting Forever.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, that motherfucker slaps. That slaps. But you're right. It was like hip hop had two. It was either going that way or it was going the Laffy Taffy way. It was two paths it could have went down at that moment. But one thing that I think you're skipping over is in 2006 in fall was the rise of Soulja Boy.
Yeah,
that nigga. He just. I'm not gonna say he destroyed it, but niggas imitating him for about 2 years, from 2006 to 2008. Every fucking year, it was crank that Spider-Man, crank that Batman, crank. Everybody in the South was making variations, dude, and it was so bad. That was so bad. That took hip hop to such a low point.
You're right about that.
That Lil Wayne,
and it was a movement too. Because I remember my first time hearing that Soulja Boy, I was at Club Social on Sunset, and Nick Cannon was the DJ. And this is when Wild 'N Out was hot. You know, early days of Wildin' Out when Cat Williams and Corey Holcomb was still on it. You know, those days of Wildin' Out.
Right.
And Nick Cannon DJ. And he brought that song in so smooth. I forgot what he's playing before that. And then the way he brought it in there, I hear that. Doom, doom, doom. And I'm looking around, and this club, this night was hot. I mean, it was like I was with my homeboys who was in the NBA. We in bottle service, everybody. And I just saw the club. See, I look at not so much the song, I look at the reaction. Right. And when I saw the reaction, that was bigger than the reaction I saw the Laffy Taffy. I was like, yo, these people love this shit. They don't like it. These motherfuckers are having the time of their life to this. Oh, God. Thank you for bringing up Soulja Boy. I was there.
Man, that nigga.
Fat Joe, I was there. Go ahead.
I don't hate the nigga because he's creative and he did something with marketing nobody had done.
Hold on one second. Call, I'm gonna finish this call up and I'm gonna get right to you. Hold on one second, all right?
Okay.
All right, go ahead and finish your thought, brother. All right, hello?
Yeah,
go ahead and finish your thought, brother.
Soulja Boy did something with marketing and nobody else had done. He made himself famous strictly through MySpace, just self-promoting himself.
Yeah,
he's a genius for that, but niggas imitated him.
No, let me correct that. Universal imitated him and used that to push Drake.
True that. But he took hip hop to such a low between 2006 and 2008. That's what made everybody think that Lil Wayne was the best thing popping when he started coming out with his metaphors and stuff.
That's a good point.
That was a psyop because I grew up listening to. I'm a South nigga. I'm from Kentucky / Atlanta. I grew up listening to Project Pat and Scarface, more lyrical, Outkast, Goody Mob, more lyrical Southern rappers. So I was not impressed with Wayne. You know, I heard his metaphors, but it was not the same standard, wasn't the same storytelling. Yeah. So I wasn't impressed with that. But he impressed a lot of people, and he brought a lot of non-black artists, non-black fans into the fray.
Nicki Minaj,
and his time
Drake.
ended in 2006. Yeah, exactly. He parlayed Drake's whack ass into this
and Nicki Minaj.
Between 08 and 26 and 2015, it was nothing but their buzz. And that is what led into the Lil Yachty era. I was 24 when them niggas came out. I wholly rejected them niggas when they came out on the cypher. I wholly rejected them niggas at 24, just like you said. You was 24 when Laffy Taffy came out. When I saw all them weird niggas come out in that 2016 XXL cover, dude, I said it's a wrap. It's a rap, bro. 21 Savage looking retarded in the fucking cypher. What y'all saying, bro? It made me sick to my stomach, dude. And I swear to God, that was a trap to destroy hip hop right there. Them weird ass 2016 class.
I agree.
They were the ones that bought in them damn groypers. Those are the ones.
But it was under Kanye's direction, though. But remember, Kanye was the big dog because he was reaching out to a lot of these young dudes. And I got to get to the next caller, but I'm gonna concede my point with you about juxtaposing Soulja Boy to Lil Wayne, because when I rewind in my memory, you're 100% right. It was like out of the new artists, he is better than this shit. You know? So good point, man. Thanks for giving us a call. I'm gonna get to the next caller.
100, man.
Yes, sir. Right. What's up, caller? What's your name? Where you calling from?
Calling from Mount Vernon, New York. My name is Ray.
Ray, what's on your mind, brother?
Yeah, that conversation you just had, something that's been swirling around in my head for years now. It was a phase where I didn't listen to rap at all. And then Little Brother came out. And that's what made
hold on one second. I'm going to take this call and get right back to you. Hold on one second. What's up, caller? I'm putting you on hold. I'm going to get you right back when this other call is done.
All right.
All right, go ahead, brother. Go ahead.
Okay, it's Dr. Love.
No, the first person. Go ahead.
Oh, me?
Yeah.
Or him? Okay. Yeah, that conversation you just had with the young man?
Yeah.
It's true. because I took a break from like 99 to 2003. And I didn't buy anything. I would hear it in passing, but I wouldn't listen or watch videos. But then Little Brother came out, and then Kanye, of course, and that's what reintroduced me to hip hop.
Same here.
That whole little era. What's that?
I said that about the same here. Outside of Common, I was done with hip hop. DJ, I would listen to some DJ Quick, some Snoop, I would Common. You know, that would kind of keep me around. But I was on the neo soul more, like Erykah Badu, Music Soul Child, because that was feeding me musically, but for that time. And then we're right, but Kanye, Little Brother, that made me be like, all right, we might be back to something now. But go ahead.
Because I want to piggyback what you just said. That Snoop album, The Last Meal.
Yeah,
that was probably the last one where I was like fucking with it. You get what I'm saying?
I love The Last Meal. Yeah, that's probably my favorite Snoop album.
Last Meal is my shit. What's that? Sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love The Last Meal, but to finish off what I was saying is, yeah, they reintroduced me to hip-hop, but the only thing is, it didn't do like it did back in the days. You know how a new era comes in and then it washes out other stuff?
Yeah.
Jay-Z never left. You know what I'm saying? Like, he just stayed around forever, and I think what's happening now is like these people are in a financial position where they can't be like a Rakim and just tour and disappear. No, they can put themselves in your face forever just because they have money.
Yeah.
Not because they make good music, just because they have money. And then my one question when I ask you before I leave is, I've heard you answer in a roundabout way, but do you think there's a future? Besides what Kendrick's doing, salute to the West. I miss home. I lived out there for years. But do you think there's like a way for us to get back on track while unifying every area? Because that's my dream, that we could finally just morph into one big family and just, you know, make something great and grand finally.
That can't.
Not finally.
That is not headed in that direction because they, you know, the great and grand thing is controlled by the pop folks. You know, they'll destroy that shit as fast as they can. But that's okay.
But that's sad.
What music is going, what's needed right now is it needs to go back to the regions. It needs to get back regional.
Really?
The only way music gets great again is when people go back to playing the true essence of their region and competing amongst their region. And that competition, somebody is going to break through and make something that all the regions like. But back in the days, and back in the 70s, when R&B was at its best, it's because it was very regional. Going back to the 80s and the 90s when hip hop was at its best, is because it was regional. And out of regions, there are going to be a couple that shine bright and go all over the place. But in the 70s, that's what it's going to have to come down to. Yes and no.
Can I give a follow-up question?
Go ahead.
Okay. With that in mind, and that sounds very solid, what do you think, and I'm not being biased, but what do you think how do you think we can get the East Coast back on track so far as the FBA voice? Because that's what's really missing. I'm out here. I see these kids. These are not us.
Yeah.
I mean, you get what I'm saying. So what would you recommend for the East Coast to get back on track from a musical expert standpoint?
They got to start learning instruments again. And like really? the black kids got to start learning instruments again, because instruments is going to help you tune your voice. If you still focused on tapping a button and that's something that's been done, what you're doing is you're recording something that's been done before. We got to get out that mindset of recreating what's been done before and get into the mindset of creating from having the youth create from their own experience and move forward. So it's definitely gonna require black folks stop
sampling altogether.
Sampling, we got to realize sampling is a thing that didn't exist in our music 35 years ago. That's something that really started with hip hop and then in R&B with New Jack Swing. We never sampled. We used to have an ego to where if I sample you, that means you're better than me. And you're not better than me. That's how producers used to think. That's how musicians used to think. If I sample you, that means I'm submitting to you. That's how Quincy Jones thought. That's how James Carmichael thought. That's how James Gaston thought. That's how Norman Whitfield thought. That's how Count Basie, Duke Ellington, all the great composers. If I take from you, I'm lowering myself to you, and I'm better than you. And it was that ego that pushed music forward. But I got another call I got to get to, man. Thanks for giving us a call.
Thanks for your time, man. Take care.
Yes, sir. I forgot I had Daniel on hold. My bad, brother. What's up? What's up, brother? What's up?
What's up?
Where you calling from?
What's up, man? It's Dr. Love, man.
Yes, sir. What's on your mind, brother?
Hey, I got a question, man. Couple. Do you think the West Coast dropped the ball with the Kendrick rollout, but then nobody else come behind?
Wait a second. Drop the ball. He had an amazing rollout.
I'm talking about the other artists that he had on his album that he featured. Where are they at now?
That's on them. And you gotta realize artists have their own. They have their own responsibility when it comes to putting themselves out there. Yeah. You can't blame that on Kendrick. Yeah. Kendrick was.
No, I'm just saying they had a big momentum. That's all I'm saying.
He still got it. Like he still got momentum. He still got his momentum. He was just in Australia doing a tour. Like, you know, like they put out Doechii. Like that's the biggest name. Like they put out Doechii. And she's the biggest new name.
I thought it was going to be some more West Coast artists come out there. You know what I'm saying? It was a big.
Where's anybody coming out right now? East Coast, West Coast, South? Like the industry said 3 years ago, they're not putting any more money behind hip hop. Ain't no money behind hip hop. So for the money that is behind hip hop, you got the biggest act in the world, and you got the biggest new act in the world. You know, I don't think it's much to expect after that.
And I got another. What do you think of? I know I'm from the South, and I had about Soulja Boy. I think Soulja Boy is an icon in the music industry. I said the music industry, not hip hop.
He's an icon. He's an icon in putting himself on how to use the internet to put yourself out there.
Yeah.
But what they did,
YouTube. Yeah.
But the downside of that is, it was a great thing that he did. But what happened was, they closed it up. The industry took his blueprint and used it and made it to where the rest of us can't use it anymore because the algorithm won't push when you put a new song out. Like our artists I love put out some music recently, and I didn't find out until a month or two after it got put out. I'm like, how in the hell? I like everything this person put out, but I would get everything, all they post, except for the post about new music out. So, but they use Soulja Boy's blueprint to do it.
I got to ask you a question. I know you probably gonna get me for this one, man. What's your thoughts on NBA YoungBoy, man?
Oh, I love NBA YoungBoy because he's a country blues artist. He ain't a rapper.
Okay.
And that's why
I know a lot of
people mischaracterize. That's because we allow white people to characterize our music. NBA YoungBoy ain't doing what Ice Cube did. He ain't doing what Nas did. When I listen to him, I'm like, oh, this is straight up country western. This is straight up blues music, but it's country western blues with modern technology. People are looking for a guitar and a banjo and a nigga with a straw hat to sing. No, if you listen to NBA YoungBoy, home don't feel like home anymore. That is country western to the core. It's just with different instrumentation. Same thing with Travis Scott. Travis Scott is a rock star. He's not a rapper. He does modern day rock with modern day technology. He does rock.
Yeah.
Like we still been doing our different genres, but we've allowed white people to classify all of our music as hip hop, and we'd be like, okay.
I'm in the South right now, man. I don't know if you heard like these trail rides, man. Man, you got these things everywhere from Texas to North Carolina, brother.
Yeah.
Like a bunch of blues and soul singers, man. It'd be like 40 and 50,000 people out there.
And it's a beautiful thing too.
Like, damn, bro.
And it's a beautiful thing, man. Like that. Yeah.
Dang. You have a great day.
You have a good one.
Yeah.
What's up, caller? What's your name? Where you calling from?
Donnie from DC.
Donnie from DC. What's on your mind?
Oh, it's on the topic, but it's off the topic. Did you see when French Montana was on doing Tate podcast, and he had two FBA dudes right sitting next to him, French Montana, Max B and Jadakiss, and he said hip hop was created by Jamaicans. Them dudes ain't say nothing, man. They ain't say not a word, man.
And that's why hip hop is dead. A whole bunch of broken punks that act hard.
Yeah, two New York dudes, two FBA New York dudes, man.
Yeah.
They say nothing to the two foreigners.
Yeah,
at all, man.
the New York guys allow people to get away with, oh, we all in the same neighborhood, so we created it together, and they forgot. Then people hated their black asses back in the '80s, man. But thanks for giving us a call.
All right, Dewan.
What's up, Carter? What's your name? Where you calling from?
Hey brother, how you doing, man? It's different from Illinois. What's up?
Different. What's on your mind, brother?
Yeah, I wanted to talk about stuff as far as with hip hop. I do agree to a certain degree. It's just going back underground again. You mentioned NBA YoungBoy. Yeah, it's kind of like in that space right now. The mainstream have always like it always took over our music genres, and they always whitewashed it. So that's what I think what's going on now. A lot of people and plus a lot of people do need to go back region. They definitely need to do that again because hip hop was at its best when it was like that. So I definitely agree with that. I'm tired of us focusing on the main industry when it comes to our culture. Like that's annoying to a group of outsiders. So if you come to the East Coast, that man was talking about the East Coast. A lot of us is going from the East Coast, to be honest.
And that's
A
but
lot
that's
of
what
us
he was
went
saying.
right
He was
back
that,
down
but
to the
that's what he was
South.
saying. He was
Yeah,
saying, what do we do in this environment? But yeah, man.
they, yeah, that's what they're getting kicked out by ICE. So it might be some hope for New York. So ICE is trying to run through there, but it's some governors in New York and Manhattan. They kind of pushing back against it, but eventually they gonna kick them people out, because they living fat off the hog anyway. Like the average U.S.
Yeah, I
citizen
don't I don't want
ain't really
I don't want
getting
to get
nothing
too
for
far
real.
off the music topic, man.
All
But
right,
you're right
ain't
about that,
yeah.
man. Thanks for giving us a call.
All right.
Yes, sir. Somebody said Californians let Mexican rappers say nigga, and New Yorkers let Puerto Ricans rappers say nigga. What the fuck is your point? And people in Atlanta let Drake come down and be down with the culture in Atlanta and Houston. What the fuck is your point, Black Attack? Again, they're back to these old regional niggas. You regional niggas, and I don't want to say this, and let the hit dogs holler. But you niggas that keep taking things back to region, you're very small minded. Okay? And the reason why I'm calling you small minded, because I just spent the last hour explaining why we have to talk about the full relationship. And in spite of me going into great detail, going back to the 1790s and talking about the music of the North and how we all play a part in growing it, we also all play a part in collapsing it. You niggas that may take it back to a region, my conclusion moving forward is just going to be you stupid. You don't have the mental enzymes to break down a large concept. So you got to limit the concept to a region so your little mind can catch up to it. Stop being stupid in my chat room. Come on, Rocky. Come on, Rocky. Rocky just knocked on the door. Let's stop that. But yeah, we're going to have to, as black people, one thing we got to understand is as black Americans, taking music has always been there. But we weren't the ones that did it. It was the white artist sampling the black artist, the European sampling the black American, the Caribbean through reggae sampling the black American. Taking what we do and redoing it, making derivative music was always the standard for everyone else. It was never the standard for us. And the reason why we always continue to innovate, if you go back in black American music, every 3 years it sounds different. And enroll in my history of R&B course, we're talking about this right now. Every 3 years it sounds different. Music from 1971 don't sound like music from 1976. 1964 don't sound like 1968. You dig what I'm saying? Let me give you an example. The early days of funk, the song of the Big Payback. That was a few years after his first funk song. Well, that's not the same time. Papa's got a. That's his first funk song, and then it evolved, and it got more into what I played before. Then it evolved into this. And then a few more years later, funk sounded like this. It became a much larger sound through Parliament. I want the album, not the song. Yeah.
Well, all right. Start, child.
In that small 10-year period, it went from a thin sound to a thicker sound to a thicker sound. It kept evolving, not sounding like it did 3 years ago. Same thing with R&B. Early R&B. Miguel Nunez's mom wrote this song. This is, well, not this one.
You see, man made the car.
That's early 60s R&B. Late 60s R&B sounds more like when you get to the late 60s, R&B sounds more like this. Hear how grand that is? It's a way thicker sound. What if they was relying on samples? What if in the 60s, everything was about the sorry ass sample? I'm goddamn tired of samples. I heard it before. This is how we sounded in the early 60s right here. Let me see here. Let me see. That's early 60s. That's early 60s. This is late 60s. You hear the progress in a short amount of time? That's because people couldn't sample. You had to hear what you heard and grow. Make it bigger. Make it better. This is how disco started. This is how disco started. That's how disco started. This is how disco ended. Because I couldn't rely on your chord changes. I had to make my own fucking own. And then when you get to the 80s, the innovation flattens off. And do you know where it flattened off? I was on the phone with Larry earlier, and I was talking, and I forgot to mention this yesterday in my music history course. Join the Patreon right now, Music University. New Jack Swing. Let's do this right. Let's do this. It was New Jack Swing.
New Jack Swing.
No, not that. Not that. I don't want no fucking video. I want an image. I'm trying to rip an image. I'm trying to rip an image off so I can put it up. I don't want to hear nobody else's words. I want to hear my words. New Jack Swing is where that's where it finished evolving and started to go back the other way. New Jack Swing was the last era of innovation for rhythm and blues. That was the last time the sound finished building. After New Jack Swing, it started to go back in reverse, trying to get back to the 70s and some through the form of sampling and things like that. But New Jack Swing into Jodeci, that's when the evolution completely stopped and started going back in the other direction. Before New Jack Swing, it was still building with Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis and their sound. The Minneapolis sound continued to build through electric instruments. The electric instruments got built out through the Minneapolis sound. Again, that's why I don't ever go back and be like, well, it came back from the South. Well, no. The Minneapolis sound don't come from the South. It comes from Minneapolis, okay? Then it goes into Keith Sweat. Keith Sweat really brought the boom bap into hip hop. When Keith Sweat really brought in making that hip hop, the R&B for sound systems. If you got a sound system, that really brought that. And then out of Keith Sweat, you get New Jack Swing. And New Jack Swing is where you start to see those samples come in, but ever so slightly in R&B. New Jack Swing is when the samples were very, very, very slight in New Jack Swing. And they started to get bigger, the sampling of R&B, as the 90s progressed along. Let me give an example. Listen to this. Y'all hear that? Funky. Listen to this. People don't pick the sample up from Groove Me by Guy. That drum beat and the vet of funky. That's James Brown. That's James Brown, Funky President. You're that funky. And the drum beat, that comes from this song right here.
Funky down.
Funky down. Did I just not prove that to you? So New Jack Swing, although it was, if you ask me, the zenith of innovation, it's also the start of bringing the sample into rhythm and blues. It was in rap, but that's what brought it into rhythm and blues. And from there, R&B became reliant on samples. 2, even the neo soul sound. Even the neo soul sound Jill Scott. Listen to this. This is Jill Scott Family Reunion.
We at the family reunion.
You know where they got that from? That whole chord shift, all that. That was the Escorts. That's what the Neo Soul did. And it was a lot of that in what we call Neo Soul. Y'all heard this right here? That's a song called Sea of Tranquility by Kool and the Gang. D'Angelo flipped that into Send It On. Also did a lot of that. Erykah Badu, Times of Wasting. When you get to the Vamp. Wait, go back. She got that from, and this is off the top of my head, y'all. I wasn't planning on doing this, but I'm just giving you guys an example. She got that from Johnny Hammond Smith. Baby, why can't we smile? I love that song right there. Woo! You know, and even down to like Khalees and Busta Rhymes. Khalees, the way Khalees sings this is a Johnny Morrison guitar lick. Listen.
Yeah. What you want, bitches?
Let me get it.
Swallow when this. Just giggling and get naked a little. But it's nothing for y'all.
I want to get to the part because I can't play too many. Here.
Busta, what it is right now. Busta, what it is right now.
Hear that? Busta, what it is right now. And then you add Kanye.
A chance to be a star. Nowhere seems to be too far. No more parties in LA. Please, baby, no more parties.
Hear that? Busta, what it is right now. You hear that? And then you hear the no more parties in LA. Both were taken from Johnny Morrison. Busta, what it is right now is it's everything goes back to the fucking 70s. I love the 70s. But we have to ask ourselves a critical question. What made the 70s great? That's how we return to our music greatness. No, this is not true, K to the G. That's not true. If you're going to make a statement like this, well, all songs have progressions. Well, then name them. Give me a song from 1972 that samples from a song from any time before that. You got to name them, homie. You can't just make general statements. Even when they would redo a song, a whole bunch of bands did Take the A Train. But every band that does Take the A Train does it completely different than the other. When it comes to music, when it comes to that kind of stuff, you gotta prove it, nigga. I'm very versed in music from 1930 to 1979, and I don't hear it. I can hear a sample like that. You don't hear it in black music. Now you hear it with the Beatles doing Motown stuff, yeah. You hear Led Zeppelin doing it from Howlin' Wolf music, yeah. You hear Madonna doing it from Shaka Khan, yeah. You hear Boy George doing that from Chuck Berry, yeah. I'm talking about the black artists. You don't hear them doing that. The challenge, because what you got to understand is there was a different consciousness back then. To take from somebody else is to lower yourself. And the only way you got to be a decision maker in music back then, because music wasn't corporate controlled back then. It was controlled by musicians and by artists. Berry Gordy's an artist. Gamblin' Huff are artists. Yeah, Led Zeppelin was copying. Led Zeppelin, you know how many lawsuits Led Zeppelin lost for taking Muddy Waters music? Yeah. Go look up Led Zeppelin. They were just stealing from Muddy Waters and Little Walter, and Albert King. And the families of these estates, the families of Willie Dixon, because Willie Dixon got those production credits, Willie Dixon's family sued and won all kind of money off Led Zeppelin for taking their shit. You're damn right. You got clowned if you was too close back then. It was a different consciousness. And that consciousness was disturbed by the music industry on purpose. Yeah, Kiss bit off Funkadelic, right. The Seattle sound, Kurt Cobain and Nirvana, that was Tina Bell, a black woman. Tina Bell was doing that shit in 83, 84. Nirvana came out in 90. Kurt Cobain was Tina Bell's roadie. This wasn't a thing in black music until the 80s and the 90s. The 80s and the 90s normalized something that was completely against what we considered music. So it's going to get back to getting pushed forward when people resist the urge to pull that sample in their song and recreate that sample instead. That's when it's going to get back good. When people say, oh, I heard that. Ah, damn, that shit was dope as fuck. Let me redo this. That's what my father-in-law told me when he produced Brick House. When he produced Brick House, the song that really inspired him a lot was Fire from the Ohio Players. Fire and a couple other songs. George Clinton has said when he did We Want the Fun, Tear the Roof Off. Tear the Roof Off was inspired by Fame from the White Boy. Fame. Fame was inspired by James Brown. But George Clinton said it. We want the funk. Gotta have that funk. In the interview I heard from him, he said that was him hearing Fame on right there on the one. But he couldn't come out and go do it and say fame. The white boy already did it. So he had to create it in his own way and give you We Want the Funk, a completely different song than Fame. That's how inspiration works when it comes to the Black American creative. You're inspired by something, but you be like, all right, cool. Bam, all right, cool. I like that. I got to get something that's close to that. Yeah, David Bowie. And you go and you sit down on your instrument and you take the inspiration and do your own thing. You don't sample what you did, you make it your own. Don't ever come in my chat room questioning me with some general ass statement. Well, everybody did it. Well, nigga, show me. Inspiration is the foundation for motivation. That's what Funkadelic told you. How'd you like your funk? It's not playing. Here it is. Yo. The foundation for inspiration is the motivation. Let me see. Let me see.
The foundation of inspiration is the motivation.
Y'all heard that? The foundation for inspiration is the motivation. The bigger the headache, the bigger the pill. That's where Cube get it from.
Lo and behold, someone's fucking mood control. Deprogram, program,
Yeah.
bigger the headache, the bigger
The bigger the headache, the bigger the pill. That's where Ice Cube gets that. The bigger the headache, the bigger the pill. Where'd you get your funk from? I need to do another music breakdown show pretty soon. Patreon, we gonna do a music breakdown show pretty soon. Yeah, Gambling Huff, we're watching Motown. But everyone was watching Motown in the 60s, but Motown was watching Stax also. Stax was giving everybody a run for their money. See, what Stax did, and this is what makes the South great. What makes the South unique and great is the South is there who hold on to I'm not taking the calls twice. The South, I'm not taking any more calls, y'all. The South they hold the information. The South holds the information. The South doesn't allow us to progress too far without reminding us of where we come from. That's the beauty of the South. And that's why Southern Soul is so big. Southern Soul is bringing us back. Stax brought us back. Stax, when you're dealing with the mid-60s, Motown was pushing R&B forward. Motown was trying to go to space. You know what I mean? This is where Motown was at with it. Motown was coming with these more futuristic sounds. Songs like Reflections.
Through the mirror of my mind, time after time.
A very futuristic sound. Stax was more keeping you back. And Stax was R&B with a late 50s, early 60s blues feel. Stax R&B kept that 60s, early 60s, late 50s blues sound. And it was like it was holding R&B into this groundedness. Detroit was pushing it forward. Chicago was the current times. Chicago is where we are right now. Muscle Shoals, which people got to understand is Aretha Franklin's music, what popped Aretha Franklin off was when she went down to Muscle Shoals in the South. And because before she went down to Muscle Shoals, Aretha Franklin was doing jazz and stuff like that, and she couldn't quite break through. But when she went down to the South and went to Muscle Shoals, they kept that, and it was out of that her sound caught on. And then from there, she went to New York with Atlantic Records to record the rest of her career. Chicago kept you in current times. You know, Chicago was really one of the most important engines in both R&B and blues at that time. Chicago is keeping you in the past, but it's also pushing you up, pushing you forward with the Dales. That's Chicago. And then in the late 60s is when Philadelphia started to make its come up. And when Philadelphia started pushing things forward, it went back down to the South through Isaac Hayes. When Isaac Hayes took control of Stax, that's what took the South out of holding things back. And the South pushed things a little bit forward through Isaac Hayes and David Porter at Stax Records. And the West Coast was always about the vibe, always about pushing the sound forward. When the music was in LA, it was always still pushing the sound forward. R&B got its start in LA. The first place to record R&B was LA in the 40s. LA was the first place to give R&B a chance. Chicago wasn't fucking with it. New York wasn't fucking with it. Nobody was trying to record R&B. The LA recording scene in the 40s got kicked off through R&B. Once R&B showed it was a viable product through LA, then it went back to Chicago, and Chicago blew it up. And then it went to New York through Atlantic Records, Ruth Brown. And is a black woman named Ruth Brown. She is the person that made Atlantic Records the powerhouse that it is today. So again, like I was saying, wherever the fuck black people stand, that's where the greatness is. And if you don't like it and you want to go back to a region and make your region better than the other, then fuck you too. I'm just playing. The Barry White sound is an LA sound, not a Philadelphia sound. The Barry White sound is very much so LA with the strings. Strings are a very big, much so a big, huge part of our music out here. Oh, I forgot to give Ruth Brown a birthday wish. I got to do a birthday post about Ruth Brown. Thank you, Devin. I forgot her birthday did just pass. There is no one region that's better than the other region. It's the competition of regions that make our Black American music great. And hip hop got to get back to that. But hip hop ain't gonna get back to that until they start speaking to the streets. All right. Yeah, Muscle Shoals, we're right by Huntsville, Alabama. Yep. You can take that road all the way to California. Yeah. Yeah, I forgot to give a birthday wish to Ruth Brown. I'll make sure I do that. All right. I went way longer than I planned on going, but the music stuff will be blurted out, and the original, if they flag this, which I'm sure they will, the original with all the music is going to be uploaded to the member section and into Patreon, and the edited version with the music edited out will stay here on YouTube. All right. Thank y'all again for listening. Remember, there are no perfect messengers, only perfect messages for those willing to pick up the game. All right, we out.